Hey, good day. Welcome back. Well, I've done a few videos lately on kind of on a theme, and it's all about horsemanship. Now, good horsemanship is the foundation for everything that I do. And in a recent video, I actually mentioned that it was my definition of horsemanship. And I'll have to back up to that one a bit here, because before I go on to explaining what I believe good horsemanship is. If you look in the dictionary, and I've looked in a few of them, you will find the definition tends to refer to your ability to control the horse, specifically when riding. And I think that's a horrible definition. That's why I specified that it's my definition of good horsemanship, because I haven't been able to find anything else that really makes sense or works and that sort of thing. So I'm going to give you my definition, and I'm going to back up to something that I haven't talked about for quite a while. Well, I've mentioned it several times throughout my videos, but that goes back years. So in recent videos where I've talked about horsemanship or good horsemanship, I haven't mentioned this stuff, and it's really important because it really, really is the basis of what I believe good horsemanship is. Now, if you look at the dictionary definition of horsemanship, it is the ability to control and ride the horse. But I believe you need to back up a long ways before that stuff, because if you want to be able to control the horse or ride the horse, you have to understand the horse. And to me, that's what good horsemanship is. And horsemanship is understanding the horse. Good horsemanship is a good understanding of the horse. Pretty simple, actually. And for those of you that think that any of this stuff is difficult to do, requires special skills or talents, no, absolutely not. You do not need to have any special skills or talents. You just have the only thing you really need to have is a desire and willingness to learn. If you can learn, you can do this stuff. And what you need to learn to be a good horseman is you need to learn to understand the horse. Not, well, your horse specifically, but horses in general. Because this is where people often run into problems with all kinds of things, because they're trying to control the horse, as the dictionary definition says, because they think that's what they need to be doing. And they don't know how to go about it, and they can't understand when they get a certain behavior from the horse that is undesirable. Well, the majority, pretty much all of the undesirable behaviors in the horse are, in fact, their instincts, because, to start with, understanding the horse, what you have to understand is you are basically dealing with a wild animal. A lot of people think, no, they're domestic horses. We've had them for, kept and raised and bred domestically. But, while that is true, and that has gone on for, thousands of years. I don't know how many, that we've been keeping them domestically and raising and breeding and all this stuff. But in fact, they haven't changed. Their DNA is exactly the same, and I've talked about this in another video where I said you're working with wild animals, and that's what you need to understand. And what is that wild animal? How does it respond? How does it survive? Because hey, let's face it, they've been around since day one, and we still have them. So obviously their instincts, their survival instincts, work pretty good, and they haven't gone away either. They're very, very strong. Even in this horse right here, as sweet and cuddly as she might be, this horse has all of the instincts for survival that every single wild horse has. To run away from danger, to fight danger, to do all kinds of things that, as humans, we find it undesirable. It's not what we want when we're trying to work with or ride a horse, but that is what it is. And that's what these things are. And that's why, good horsemanship is understanding them, understanding what to expect. I did a video a while back. I said, the problem with You know, a lot of people say, you know, horses are unpredictable. They're big, unpredictable animals. Well, that's only half right. They're big. I mean, this girl right here, she outweighs me about 5 to 1. And, you know, so yeah, she's big. But is she unpredictable? Well, your failure to predict something does not necessarily mean something is unpredictable. It only means that you don't have the ability to predict it. Now, in my case, I understand horses well enough that although I cannot predict specifically the exact thing that she's going to do in any given situation, I can generally predict what's possible and what she's likely to do in a given situation that might set her off a bit and trigger the instincts that all horses have. So is she unpredictable? No, not really. She's actually quite predictable, but that's all part of horsemanship, is understanding the horse, understanding the animal that you're working with, and knowing, through that understanding, knowing, what to expect from it. How is it going to react to your request? Do you need to make your request in a different way that is going to be a little more acceptable, a little more understood, not as threatening? And that's the things, like I said, that's the basis of everything I do. And not long ago, somebody wanted to know about, what methods and techniques did I find particularly positive results from. Well, all of them, and even some somewhat not very good ones, you can probably still get some good results from, but there's always a better way. And there's a lot of horsemen out there that are fairly popular that depend on methods and techniques to make themselves look good. And they know enough really good methods and techniques that, for the most part, they actually do look pretty good, and they're fairly successful with training a horse. But are they actually good horsemen? Not really. At least I don't think so. Not in my opinion, because they don't truly understand the animal that they're working with. They're a wonderful animal, and there's a lot of characteristics about them that, if you understand them, they're really, 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 really wonderful animals. And the traits in them that produce the undesirable things, once you understand them, you can generally avoid, you can't train out the instincts. I got to emphasize this. I've said it a few times. You can't make those instincts go away. Those instincts have been in that horse since the beginning of time. Their DNA has not changed, and that's been proven scientifically, that even wild horses or domestic horses, the DNA is almost identical, and it goes back thousands of years. It's never changed, okay? And, so you got to understand that. You can't get rid of the instincts, but what you can do is you can teach them to think so that they don't have to resort to their instincts. They have something else that they can use, and that's where good horsemanship comes in. If you understand the animal and you understand its thought process, which is very different than ours, okay? That's another mistake people make, is they think that, this animal thinks like I do. No, she does not. Her brain doesn't work anything like mine. Well, I do a lot of comparisons between humans and horses, but that's just to help you understand what the horse is experiencing. But in fact, they don't think like we do. Their senses don't work like ours. I've explained that a bit. Their hearing and their sense of smell is much, much, much better than ours. Just as a lot of people think cats and dogs and such, that they have really good eyesight or good hearing and sense of smell, and that is true. What they don't realize is that horses are just as good, if not better. We're not entirely sure on that. I haven't come across a lot of documentation on that, but I have come across some that says that horses, when it comes to like their sense of smell, just as good as a bloodhound. And I don't doubt that at all from what I have seen. Now, their eyesight, it works quite different than ours. It doesn't focus on details like ours does, but when it comes to detecting movement, it's far superior to ours. So, and these are all the things that, all of their senses, we have to understand how they work so that we can understand how the horse works, so that we can work with the horse successfully. This is good horsemanship, understanding the horse. And this is the most important part of good horsemanship, is understanding the horse. Because if you don't understand this animal, you can't successfully work with it. Well, you can a little bit. If you got lots of really good methods and techniques, yeah, you can do it. But those are not the be-all, end-all. This animal right here, if you understand it, if you truly understand this animal, and I don't mean this one specifically, although individually, if you're only working with one horse, that's the one you really got to get to know. But you also still need to understand horses in general. And to me, that is what good horsemanship is a good understanding of the animal. And that's what makes you successful, because then you totally get what's going on. And I've said this before in other videos, never mind the what, figure out the why. And that's your key. You know, what the horse does is not near as important as why it's doing it. Because I've said in another video, you could have 10 different horses do the same thing, and they could all do it for different reasons. And that's what you got to figure out. You got to figure out the why, not the what. You know, what they do, that's not near as important. The why they did it, that's the important part. And that's what you need to figure out. So what is good horsemanship? Well, like I said, understanding the horse. It's not about methods and techniques. Well, that comes in handy too, believe me. Good methods and techniques can be super handy, but if you understand the horse, then you understand how those methods and techniques work, and you can employ them more effectively. And, you know, this is not super difficult stuff. A lot of people get real intimidated. Well, hey, hello, I'm just like you, and it wasn't that many years ago I didn't know anything about horses either. Well, it doesn't seem like all that long ago. And, but you can learn this stuff. Every one of you, everybody that's watching this video can learn this stuff, just like I did. It just takes time. I watched a lot of videos, read a lot of articles, and spent lots of time with horses and made lots of observations. And, you know, in the case of this place here, I've been here now, I don't know, something like 6 years now, and it's been quite an opportunity for me because there is a considerable size herd here. So I have a lot of horses here that I can watch and observe, and I can study how each one individually behaves. I can also watch how they interact with one another. And it's all educational stuff, and it doesn't matter how good you get or how much you know, you can still learn some more. You know, I've said before, I'll be learning till the day I die. So will my horses. Oh, yeah, pretty sure they will. You know, what they learn is kind of up to me, but you know, they are capable of learning to the day they die. And this whole retirement thing, that's a bunch of silliness. That is actually a relatively recent concept, and only in certain countries, actually. The whole idea of retirement for humans or horses. Well, the concept of retirement, period. It's actually a fairly recent thing. In the last couple hundred years, you know, it's actually only about the last 100 years. And largely in the more developed countries like North America and you know, certain countries in Europe and England, UK or whatever, the more civilized, I use that term loosely, the more civilized countries. But that's a whole other subject. We're talking about horsemanship today. And this is what I want to tell you, is that it's not about learning all the different tricks and tips and methods and techniques and stuff like that. It's about learning about the horse. And like I said, that's my definition. Because if you look in the dictionary, believe me, it's a horrible definition. It's all about control. You want control and you want to be able to ride, you better learn about the horse. And they don't even mention that in the definition. And it's a horrible thing, I think. Terrible. I don't know why that. Whoever came up with that definition of horsemanship never owned a horse. Pretty sure they didn't. Or they would have realized that there's a lot more to it than just controlling. It's not about control. It's about politely requesting and getting what you want through the understanding of the animal and what it perceives, what it understands, and doing things in a way that it will understand. Right, sweetie? Yeah. So, what's good horsemanship? A good understanding of the horse. And if you got that going, All the rest will fall into place pretty easy, actually. And once you understand the horses themselves, if you, there was one guy, can't remember which one it was, referred to the people with really good methods and techniques as surface workers, because what they were doing was very superficial. It wasn't getting down to the core of the animal and its being. And he kind of understood this stuff. And like I said, if you use nothing but methods and techniques, you're a surface worker. You're not getting down deep with the animal to, well, I'm not going to get into all that stuff because that could get a little start sounding weird. But, there's all this stuff that goes on that far exceeds your methods and techniques and actually comes before them. Like I said, learn the animal, learn horses in general, and then learn your horse. And after that, the methods and techniques, you'll kind of figure them out as you go. You make them up or whatever, because you'll understand what the horse reacts to and how it reacts to things. And through that knowledge, you can kind of come up with stuff that'll work. And it's not real hard, actually. Some of the stuff that I know and I do, most of it's actually pretty simple stuff. And it's stuff that I've learned over the years just by spending time with horses and figuring out what they like, what they don't like, how they react to things, and all that good stuff. So, you want good horsemanship? Learn about horses. That's what it's all about. Have a good day.